Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode. It's another episode of Backyard Chains brought to you by Backyard Sports. My name is Raul Herrera. Let's get this show on the road. First major of the year of the Disc Golf Pro Tour season is in the books. The Champions Cup, couple winners, one we probably expected to see from the FPO, and one I don't know that a lot of people had them on their maybe their Grip 6 picks. But and once again, quick shout out to the homie Luke Humphreys. I copped some plastic. I did not go to Tree Love. I went to lukehumphreys.com, got myself a new M4, which I was due for, as well as picking up myself a H3V2, which I am not familiar with, but that agate plastic, could not get enough of it. So I do actually have that handy real quick. So check out this plastic, man. Agate, swirly, beautiful, just a boy and his dog. Feel me? Absolutely love that plastic. Super cool looking. Love the stamp, or love the agate stamp. H3V2 looks like distance, maybe distance driver. It's an 11 speed, -1 fade. So I wonder if I asked Luke if it runs similar to like a Wraith, and he said it's a slightly less stable variant of it. So looking forward to trying it out. It's just too damn pretty, though. I almost don't even want to throw it, but I've got too many of those that I don't want to throw. So anyways, all of that being said, let's just jump right into it. Let's jump right into the outcome, the standings rather, and how they're looking. Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. I was trying to find. Oh yeah, I know I've already harped on this before. I'm probably going to do it again. It's probably going to upset some folks. Don't really care. But let's look at the Disc Golf World Rankings right quick. We've got a side-by-side comparison here. Ricky Wysocki has now moved up to number 1. Did not even compete in the Champions Cup. Obviously dealing with, he's now, he was dealing with an injury, and now he's dealing with some issues with his Lyme disease. So he had to bow out of this. Hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later. Because like we said with the homie Luke last week, it's the Disc Golf Pro Tour is a better tour with Saki Bomb involved. Gary, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. So Ricky Wysocki, ranked number 1 in the power rankings, or in the Disc Golf World Rankings powered by UDisc. Gannonburg dropping, Calvin staying the same, even though dropping in his dominance index slightly, just under 5 points. And then Simon Lizotte and Eagle McMahon, and then Paul Macbeth is kind of the story here, dropping out of the top 5 in the Disc Golf World Rankings for the first time in quite a long time. And we'll get into the impacts of that here later. So I do want to jump into real quick. Let's see. I do want to jump into the tour itself. So the Champions Cup was fantastic. I mean, it was it's a major, so there's 4 separate days. They started on Thursday all the way up to Championship Sunday. The conditions, I mean, I feel like confidently, I feel like the outcome of the majors here were pretty insane. Like I can't confidently say that I expected the people in the MPO to do as well as they did. And, the winner, if you haven't already seen it yet, the MPO winner, Isaac Robinson. I'm just going to pull up the live scoring here for UDisc so that you guys can see how that looked. It's pretty incredible. We got to see some people show up and show out, as I like to say. Let me pull it up right here, and voila. Isaac Robinson taking down with a confident lead. I mean, he was bogey free, willingly took the bogey on 18 just to secure the dub. He didn't care. It was whatever. He could have taken a +4 and still won. And anyways, Eagle McMahon managed to rally this last round. I mean, fantastic golf. Shoots a 10 under final to tie for second. Nicholas Antelo, we talked about him last week. This man has been so close to greatness in so many majors too. Not even specifically Silver or Elite Series, but majors. Fantastic. For me, the story was Silas Schultz. Silas Schultz, Louisiana boy, really, I mean, there was a point here going into hole 11, 12 where, even Terry and Nate on the live broadcast were talking about the idea that Silas could potentially come back and challenge Isaac Robinson for the victory. And then two critical mistakes on two holes, one after another, and some costly mistakes kind of took him out of that running, but still solo fourth place. And then Matty O tied for fifth with Mason Ford, Aiden Scott, tied for seventh with Chris Clemens and Gannon Burr, Vino Makala, and then Chris Dickerson, the reigning defending Champions Cup champion at the time, tied for 11th with James Conrad. So this is your top 15 all the way down to, Anthony Barella. It was good to see him. Calvin Heimberg really kind of dropped off. This is his lowest finish to date. If you watched any of his stuff on social media, you would see that his debrief was simple. He struggled on his approaches and his putts, and which is I feel like for the most part that's always kind of been his biggest Achilles heel is whenever he's not confident with the putt, it's usually trouble. It usually means that there's something potentially dangerous going to be happening there with his round. So wasn't able to secure the victory or podium finish there. But anyways, I digress. Kyle Klein down here at 18, Robert Burridge at 20, Paul McBeth at 20. Also just kind of struggled. I mean, Paul McBeth, I don't know that I've ever seen this many bogeys on his card in a majors. I feel like, maybe I'm exaggerating. I'd love for someone to correct me here. Jeremy Coling up at 28, tied for 28th with Ben Callaway and Ezra Robinson. And Coling with a great round. I mean, looks like he struggled a little bit on 18, but overall, 7 under. The Juna Heinonen, shooting a 12 under is absolute fire emojis with a bogey, so if he doesn't bogey there, he probably breaks the course record. Fantastic golf. James Conrad with that 7 on hole 14 is just, I mean, it's a soul crusher to see. It really is. But let's look at some of the bright stuff. Eagle McMahon really turned on the heat. Bogey free 10 under round. Silas Schultz, even with the 2 bogeys on 14 and 15, 10 under. I mean, we're talking 12 under on 12 under round. You can't beat this level of golf. This is proper elite golf. Gotta love it. And so with that, the tour is now going to go back into an elite series at Jonesboro. The reigning defending champion, Calvin Heimberg, is going to be up. Curious to see how he bounces back after this victory, or after this defeat, we'll call it, but tying for 16. So I do want to pull up the point standings. We talked about the importance of the point standings and how much they either matter or don't matter. Sure. But let me just double check that I'm actually looking at the right things here. UDisc Live. Okay. And the UDisc Live point standings. Calvin Heimberg with a comfortable lead. I mean, he's still sitting at 100 points over Gannon Burr. Kyle Klein down 1 spot from second place to third. Gannon taking his place at second. And so now we're going to start seeing a lot of consistency from a lot of these folks. So one thing that I'm looking at that is relatively, concerning is that we've got 2 pretty large gaps. So looking at your top 10 here. So Eagles probably going to look to bounce back, right? He's going to look to bounce back. He's registered for Jonesboro, OTB Open, BSF, which is a Silver Series, Portland, which is an Elite Plus, Zootown. And I say concerned loosely, but when I look at Paul McBeth is out of quite a few. I mean, he's out of OTB Open. These are Silver Series, so we can let those go. Portland, DDO even, it just kind of seems odd. And I don't know what that weight means. I don't know what the impact of that is. The other one that I was going to mention, obviously, too, is Chris Dickerson being out of these. He usually tries to remain a little sparse in the earlier, like the West Coast legs. And so looks like he's going to do the same here as he's going to miss Portland. But to miss the OTB Open, I don't know. A little disappointing, I think. Maybe I'm crazy. But anyways, all in all, tour point standing, that's what it looks like. James Proctor remaining the same at 5. Isaac Robinson up 11 spots with that victory. 150 points that he takes for winning a majors. 150 points. He is now a top 5 ranked disc golfer in the Pro Tour points race this year. Pretty impressive. So Joel Freeman also going to have some breaks here. Simon Lizotte down 2 spots. We were just talking about Eagle McMahon taking 120 points for his tie for second place. He's up 9 spots back into the top 10. Again, so this is the other one that I wanted to talk about. First, Vino Makala up 10 spots with almost 80 points for his tie for 7th. And then the other tie for second being Nicholas Antila, 120 points, tied up 31 spots up to 17th place in the points race. Kevin Jones down 8 spots because he didn't qualify for this. So that sucks that you kind of get double punished. Not only do you have to deal with the idea that you didn't qualify for this major, his first major that he missed since 2018, but now he has to deal with the loss in points. Now, we talked about it last week. Please be sure to go check out the page. Go check out last week's episode with Luke Humphreys. We asked about what the weight of that looks like. What does the weight of the points look like? And again, just to kind of paraphrase what Luke said last week, that top 20, that top 20, 25, those guys are carefully watching that stuff because they want to see how they line up because they're actually in contention for that, that points championship, right? Whereas some other folks that are maybe further down the line, surely every professional is watching their points. I guess I'm curious as to whether or not we would say that they watch it more than their ratings. I do feel like ratings also carry some weight, but also don't to others. So it is, it's definitely difficult to say, but let me just double check what else I had pulled up here before I move on. So last thing is just wanted to kind of preview. I wanted to be able to preview the FPO just in a few different ways. But first, I want to get over to the most important part of our show, and that's our salute to service brought to you by Folds of Honor. This episode is going to be dedicated to Army Private Gerard Dennis, who passed away April 25th, 2003, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. He was 19 years old from Oklahoma, and he was assigned to 3rd Battalion, 504th Infantry Regiment, 82nd Airborne Division out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and he was killed in Afghanistan. Army Private Dennis, we have the watch. $19. It's horrible. For those of you guys who are tuning in for the first time, we appreciate it. We are a veteran-owned podcast, and myself and the co-founder, Gary, having served in the Navy together, we dedicate every episode of our podcast to a fallen service member. So we appreciate you guys sticking around for that. And if you have something to sip on, please raise a glass to our fallen service member. So I do want to touch base with the FPO here, just because tour point standing, obviously need to talk about that. I do also want to talk about, let's see, that one. Is it that one? Let's see if it's that one. Yep. Okay. So, tour point standing here for FPO. And we're talking about almost 100-point lead for Kristen Tatar. And let's just take a second to look at how this is done. Waco, first place. Open, 5th. Open at Austin, 5th place. That was the podium finish streak ending. Texas State, 2nd place. Music City, 1st place. Blue Ridge, 1st place. Champions Cup, 1st place. Kristen Tatar, ladies and gentlemen, has 4 tour wins out of 6 events played. She has 5 of 6 podium finishes. This is unbelievable disc golf. It really is. I'm going to pull up my phone real quick just to pull up a quick stat that I got from Mando because I thought it was just, again, incredible golf. Kristen Tatar bogeyed hole 4 of her last round of Champions Cup, ending her 74 straight bogey-free hole streak over the last 2 events. This stands as our longest calculated bogey-free streak on tour. She still held a 12-stroke lead at the PDGA Champions Cup with 12 holes or 14 holes, left to play. I mean, this is dominant disc golf. This is unbelievable. Anyways, something else from Blue Ridge, not last week, but the weekend before, Gary actually sent me this. So, Gary, thank you for this little nugget of wisdom here from Statmando as well. Kristen Tatar scored a 22 under, Gannon Burr with a 18 under. For the first time in PDGA Live era, an FPO winner has a better final score to par than the MPO winner at a major, elite, or silver event with an equal number of holes played. So, I mean, dominance is an understatement. I think we have had I know at least I've had the conversation casually about chasing greatness. When you talk about 5-time world champion Paige Pierce and the other multi-time world champions that surround her. And we've talked about Paul McBeth and his idea of 6-time world champ trying to chase Ken Climo. Is that possible? Right. In today's era, is Paul McBeth capable of locking in 6 more world titles in today's competitive era? Is that possible? I would be curious for anybody's opinion for that. And it's no disrespect to Pablo, but the answer is no, bud. The answer is no. There's no way he's going to get, even in the next 10 years. I don't know how much long Pablo's got. He's been in the game for a very long time already. 15, 20 years. Does he have 6 more world titles in him? I'm sure he's capable of winning it, but against this field, what we're looking at right now, dude, come on. It's insanity to think, because some things are fact. Gannon Burr is probably going to be a world champion. My guess would be 3 to 5 years tops. I don't even think it takes that long. Gannon Burr will be a world champion. Paul McBeth will probably, in that 5-year span, probably have a solid contention at least 2 to 3 of those. These are all just guesses, not backed by science. This is purely my novice disc golf gut. Anyone watching this, please feel free to add me in the comments, roast me, whatever you want, but come correct and come with your opinion and why you feel that way. There's no doubting Paul McBeth. You can never count him out. We have those sayings with quarterbacks like Tom Brady and with Aaron Rodgers. You can't ever really count them out wholly. Paul McBeth is exactly like that. We've seen come from behind victories time and time again with him. And when you think about Gannon Burr, that kid is 7. He's a child. He's a whole ass child. 17 years old. He's already got a majors. He's got multiple Silver Series, multiple, Elite Series wins. Man, it's pretty impressive. So there's a lot of folks in this top, 25, 30 that I feel like could probably make a run at something in the world's realm. But I think for me, my probably top 5 favorites that I expect to be world champions in the next 5 years is going to be Calvin Heimberg, Gannon Burr. We'll see the trajectory of James Proctor. I mean, that dude's been shredding. But if he can stay healthy, Eagle McMahon, Ricky Wysocki, and Paul McBeth, those are probably my top 5 of who I think is going to be world champions over the next 5 years. Could totally be wrong. Again, feel free to add me. I would love to hear it. Love the conversation about it. But let's talk about Jonesboro. Is Jonesboro the most exciting course to play? No. But it's a good combination of some woods golf, some low shots, low power shots, and this is Calvin Heimberg's bread and butter. We've seen him perform well just about every year he's played here and competed. I'm looking forward to seeing Kevin Jones and his bounce back from his not qualifying for the Champions Cup. Also, he's going to be the hometown kid here in Kansas, as well as excuse me, in Arkansas. And then as well as even who, even God, I can't even think. Luke Humphreys, excuse me, hometown kid now, out from that way. So it's going to be a good weekend of disc golf. I think it'll be nice. This is always competitive. And every single pro, with the exception of just running through the top 50 list here. Matty O is the only guy I see that's not registered for the Jonesboro Open. Kale Laviska, Ricky, and Nate Sexton still missing some more events here. I'd be curious to see what's going on with him too. He hasn't been very, very present this year, so kind of curious to see what that looks like. So, anyways, and the last thing, we didn't really talk about it too much, and then we'll bring this bad boy to a close, is actually the UDisc world rankings, but I didn't talk too much about the FPO. So not really any significant changes here in the world rankings from last week in your top 10, with the exception of Paige Pierce dropping to Onscoggins up 3 spots. Onscoggins is up 3 spots. Listen, I don't know the ages of all of these ladies, but I can say with confidence that Onscoggins is at least in the top 3 of oldest females in this top 10. I think she's older than Missy. I think she's older than Holland Hanley. And I know she's older than Cy, Henna, Haley. Yeah, Paige, Katrina, like Kristen. I'm fairly confident she's older than all of them. And to be a top 3 in the world rankings is just impressive. I mean, to continue to dominate at her age when she probably could, probably is either getting close to or able to compete at that, that female over 40 division is impressive. Continues to dominate. We see highlights every single week from Onscoggins. So just fantastic to watch, man. But let's look at that dominance index. We talked about Ricky and Gannon here, but look at the difference in the dominance index. We're talking about 5-point difference between Ricky down to Calvin. The difference between Kristen Tatar and number 2 Katrina Allen is almost 100 points. It's almost 100 points. Like it's not even close on the dominance index is what UDisc is telling us here. It's not even close. So I don't know how many events exactly we have left on tour, but based off of this dominance index, I think it's safe to say that Kristen Tatar, if she's playing it, is in contention probably 80% of the time. Probably 100% of the time, because we haven't seen her finish any worse than 5th. 5th, is that right? 5th all year? Just double checking my math. Yeah, 5th at Austin. 5th. It's the lowest she's done. I mean, what a time to be alive in disc golf. I thought really hard, just for the record, about stirring this shit up for Natalie Ryan. You guys feel free to chime in if you want to, and I will be happy to have these conversations. But I always am interested in stirring that shit up. But anyways, with that, I think this is all I have for you guys this week. I'm hoping to have some better things to talk about next week. Hopefully the homie Vinny takes home another W in Jonestown. I'd love to see it. As you guys know, I say it like every episode. I'm a Vinny stan. It just is what it is. You got to deal with it. If you don't like it, find another show. Anyways, with all that being said, my name's Raul Herrera. This is Backyard Chains, brought to you guys by Backyard Sports. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to check in next Tuesday when we debrief Jonesboro and start talking about the next event on the docket, that being the OTB Open. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.